Let me ask you this question: why aren't we asking why didn't Hamas just surrender? Why did they force Israel to go to war? Why don't they just surrender to avoid the casualties? Why do they keep fighting? Why aren't we putting blame on them?
You sound that sounds like somebody in an abusive relationship. Why do you make me hit you?
No.
Why do you make me punch you?
No.
Don't make me do this to you.
No, not at all.
Why
no.
are you making me
No,
kill your children? Don't make me blow up your hospitals and kill your children. Like,
why
I know it's not a joke, but you're defending it. Guys, welcome to another episode of the Patriots Table. Today we have a special guest joining us from Ohio here. We have Joe Overholser. Now, Joe is the founder of Citizens for a Stronger Kettering and the Montgomery County GOP precinct captain and ward leader. So, thank you, Joe, for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Tre.
So, the big hullabaloo right now everybody's talking about is, Epstein's list. It's like as soon as the government shutdown was done, that was the first thing that hit, and that's been a weird one. And through the Biden administration, we've talked about it a bit on the show, and even then has been under ridicule since Trump got back in office, with some of the things that have been back and forth being said from the DOJ and Pam Bondi, her comment, a lot of ridicule on what she said. I want to get your initial thoughts on what your take is on the whole Epstein's list and that whole situation.
Well, I wish the information had been released if there was accurate information available. So I guess that's my big take on it. I think that whatever information is available has either been destroyed or altered in some way. I don't think it's available. With the current House, what they've done, so they're only releasing unclassified information. So I don't think we're going to learn anything from what they're going to release. If there is anything to be learned, I think it's classified and it won't be released. Even there, like I said, I don't think there's anything there.
I don't disagree. I saw something pretty funny.
Can you tell, so that's the first time I'm hearing that the list has classified information. I thought it was a bunch of names. I mean, wasn't it made clear that all of the House representatives actually already have that list and they just couldn't release it because of the gag order? Or is this something that, basically there's two people, one person killed himself in jail supposedly, and the other one is still in jail. So the list being there, I think, is pretty, obvious. It's a fact. The fact that Epstein has an island and people went over there and what happened there is no secret to anybody. It's just the people who went there, what they did, we already know the flight logs. I think Tucker Carlson just released the people who actually flew, because that log was released, before the names of the people who were involved in the child sex trafficking ring. So that's the list we're waiting for. Now, I did not know that there were classified parts to that list. I'm expecting things to be redacted for sure, because I just, this is a joke, but I saw that the Babylon Bee just said that the black, markers are selling out really fast as before the list gets released, because obviously people are going to, use it. I'm guessing that was a joke, but
yeah.
So what part was? Yeah, what part do you think was actually classified?
Well, it's classified. We won't know. I just expect it is. So reading up on what the House actually did was the resolution is for the release of all unclassified Justice Department records.
So this is
so going to be unclassified records, and Yeah, and anybody, any information, any kind of investigation that's going on is going to be redacted, and victims are going to be redacted.
Right. So yeah, that was my understanding too. So like the court cases, I mean, there are certain cases that are going on. That information probably is classified and redacted, but I think the names, this is what people are waiting for, right? I mean, the list contains people who were participants in the activities that took place on the island. I mean, that was my understanding was the goal of
We'll
everybody waiting
see.
for
I
that.
mean, we'll see. We already have names from the flight logs, right? But here, I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
the flight logs does not prove any criminal activity. So
right.
I don't
Correct.
think
Yes.
I would. I mean, so what? There's names. We already know names. Is there information to prove criminal activity? Being on a flight log is not proof of criminal activity. It draws potential suspicion, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
but that's all we
That's
have.
correct.
So
Yeah.
I would love to have that information. I would love people to be prosecuted personally. I don't think we're going to learn anything. And if there was anything, people would be getting prosecuted, I think.
Well,
Or
I
it's
mean,
being hit,
yeah,
or it's
but
being hidden. It's being hidden behind classification for whatever reason, and we'll never know. It's
well, I
so.
think,
So to
That's
me,
what
it's
kind
why.
of this is what kind of bothers me about
yeah,
it.
this is the
So
reason why people speculate. Yeah.
You have in July, we get told from the Justice Department and the FBI stating that an exhaustive review found no evidence of any blackmailing scheme or an incriminating client list. And that was totally contradictory to everything that we had been told, even from Trump and his people leading up to that being said. You had Pam Bondi came out and initially claimed that the list was sitting on her desk ready for review, but then later, kind of backstepped and said she meant the entire collection of the Epstein files. So, regardless of what the truth is, if there was a deep state, blackmail child sex trafficking ring to, cater to elites in America or around the world. Whether that's true or not, it seems like there's a bunch of flip-flopping and there's not a lot of transparency going on where now you just have rampant conspiracy theories and it it just doesn't really seem like the transparency that was talked about around this. And even to your point, Joe, and Ravi, a lot of it's probably going to be redacted. I mean, and say it's classified because I would even say if there is a list, and if there were people on that list that or what people were suspecting, like way high up in levels of government, it'd probably just be classified because it'd be a threat to national security for certain people or the amount of people it could be to get thrown in jail and see, a courtroom and stuff like that. So I guess if that is the case, then what's really the justice that the American people would see from that? I just don't really see an outcome where anything like that would come to fruition that would benefit the people or clean up any kind of criminal activity like that at high levels of government in the U.S. or around the world.
It's not even the justice for the people, right? I mean, we are talking hundreds of women who are out there, and I mean, know some of them. I mean, some of them have committed suicide apparently, but uh, there are people who have actually been like forced into this thing. So there are people out there who need justice more than us needing transparency. It's two things. We need both, and that's what I think. A lot of people voted for Trump and this government, this administration to come in and help America get back on that transparent footing where, we don't have to second guess what the government is doing or thinking. And I think the biggest problem that I have at this point is that we don't have that. And instead we are being fed lie after lie. I mean, it's no different than any other administration. It's kind of going that way. And that's what's, I think, causing a lot of people to take a step backwards and, start questioning it. At least it's for me, and I know, Trey, you too. I mean, like, I don't know if, Joe, you can shed some light on what's going on, because, you probably have the best context inside, which, we don't. And obviously, there's probably talk going on about it. Uh, Shed some light on what's happening with the administration, why people are getting so fed up and, walking away from it, which is not going to be good for us in the midterms or in 2028.
Yeah, well, yeah. First on the transparency, I would say only on this issue. We talk about the Trump administration overall and transparency. It's easily the most transparent administration I'd say we've ever had, and I'd include Reagan in that, who I think was a great president. But I mean, even on this issue, I think they're trying. I believe they wanted. I think they thought there was information there that wasn't. So yeah, they maybe communicated badly, or I think more likely wrongly assumed there was incriminating information they were going to find regarding Epstein, and when they finally got it, it wasn't. And Trump's even insinuated that the information that was given to them was altered in some way. So I think, like, so you remember he called it a hoax and was trying to dismiss it, and people were like, "That's not what's he saying." Well, I think that's what he meant, and maybe that could have been more clearly articulated too. But I think he meant the information was altered, or they believe it at least to be altered, and that it wasn't good information. Or it could be, we don't know, if this was truly some kind of classified U.S. government ran, or maybe even a foreign government ran, maybe both of them, scheme to blackmail people. They're not. I mean, what makes us think they would reveal that information? And if that's the case, do we really think the people who were doing that are going to not destroy and or alter the information, which they could easily do? They're doing. I mean, they're doing this stuff, in classified environment, secret environment. If it's top secret level, you gotta be, SCI level. You gotta be read into the program. I mean, it could be, as few as, 2 people who actually knew what happened. I just fucking theoretically, we don't know. Yeah, but back on but the other question regarding, people not being happy with Trump. I'm not sure I think most people are happy with him. I think people like you, Ravi, and Trey, and me, who stay informed and and stay up on current events. Or if you're on you're on X or Facebook all day, that's like all you see, right? If you're on the political, I mean, there's like this internal battles seems to develop largely around Israel. Really, is what it seems to be like. Is you got these influencers on either side of this, but I think most people don't care. They don't care about Israel. They don't care about Epstein. And I think they're happy with most everything Trump's doing, but those of us who are informed, we're expecting more. And I have friends like that, and I'd like more myself, but I'm overall happy with what's happening. Generally, but I think a lot of people expect too much, especially those of us who are informed. We want everything. We thought we wanted Trump to come in and do. We want to do everything now. We want, and those of us who think there's a deep state that's got, we wanted this like wiped out like now, like immediately. And so we're not even a year in, and and people want more, right? They want more indictment. We had indictments. I mean, for crying, Comey's been indicted. John Bolton's been indicted. Republican, right? Republican guys have been indicted. And people are like, oh, well, where, they haven't been tried. But unfortunately, these things go slowly, right? Another year or two, and there's nothing come of it, then okay, I'll probably be with you saying why didn't something happen here? But I think things are happening there, and things we don't know are going on. But people just want more. They're not economy. Economy is a big thing, really. They're not. Why? I think inflation is going down. It's not. A lot of people are still complaining about prices, and they want more. We're not going to go back, but prices aren't going to go back before pre-COVID, right? They inflated all the stimulus. They inflated the economy, and it's not going to go back to pre-COVID. And we're still going to have inflation. It's just going to slow down. People are just got unrealistic expectations there. But yeah, because we also don't want deflation. We want, deflation is worse than some inflation. We want a small amount of inflation, right? So that's my general take on those issues.
No, absolutely. And I will say wages need to catch up to what happened with the inflation, because that's where there's a big problem when it comes to what people are saying. I mean, $100,000 a year income is like the new 60, So and I saw some numbers like to have for the average family to have the same buying power in the housing market now that they had in 1970. Somebody would have to make $66 an hour. Like that's close to 140,000 a year. And that was just the average, middle class person in America in 1970. So there's definitely, I agree with you. You can't, I haven't seen prices soaring like it was, but wages and the cost of living hasn't gone down, but the wages need to catch up to that. But even back with what you said on Epstein, the only thing that doesn't sit right with me on the whole thing, you know, people seem to forget it was back in August of 2019 that was when Epstein died, whether he killed himself or whatever happened. That was so Trump, this was still in the Trump administration when this happened. And when he was running in 2024, Trump promised transparency and the release of the client list. So if he was in office, if it was his administration when this went down with Epstein, he had 4 years throughout the Biden administration. He's running again, and he's talking about a client list. There had to have been something there. And like you said, was it destroyed? Was stuff taken and put through the shredder? But I don't think Trump's an idiot. I think he's a smart guy. And to me, it's either, oh, something happened while I was out of office with this list, or it was a campaign thing to get votes, which politicians do too. And I don't like that or agree with it either way, but unless Trump was straight up lying when he was running or something happened to the list, I don't think he just said it willy-nilly.
Well, I think it's an assumption, right? I mean, he hadn't seen the list. If he'd seen the list, he'd already release it, right? Unless it was classified and you couldn't do it, right? He assumed there was a list that would not be destroyed or altered. But you know what? And I think it was a minor. That wasn't like the major thing he ran on. That was a thing, right? That was a thing, and I think people have inflated it something bigger than what it is. I mean, mass deportations was, I would argue, the biggest thing, that and economic issues, and he's kicking butt on the border and and deportations of illegal immigrants. But yeah, so I don't think it's that
I
big
kind
an
of agree
issue.
with what Joe said earlier, that people are sometimes expecting too much. I mean, people like me, I mean, I have been through this so many times in different countries that I don't expect anything of the government. So for me, it's no big, I'm not surprised at all. But see, and I will say this, I mean, I've said this many times on this podcast, and I'll say it again so that everybody hears it, and so does Joe. I don't think that Trump is doing nothing. I mean, I think he has done quite a lot. He has done quite, like a lot of things that he said he was going to do. Like, you mentioned a minute ago about the, illegal immigration issue, which was a big one. And that's great. And, the economy is getting better. It's not where we want it to be. And again, that comes from the fact that, we all want things to happen tomorrow, yesterday, and it's not going to, which is fine. Uh, but I think the bigger problem is, there's a saying in my country that if you milk a cow and you drop a piece of, cow dung into the entire bucket of milk, the entire bucket spoils, right? I mean, so that's the whole thing that's happening here. So people expected certain standards to be held. I mean, I voted for Trump 3 times. So, like I expected the man, as an outsider. I mean, he didn't take a salary the first term. I mean, here's a guy who showed us that he'll do stuff. He was unafraid to do things. And then he comes in the second term, and I see a completely different person. Now, what happened? I don't know. I mean, like, maybe the assassination attempt on him in Butler, Pennsylvania. Something, happened. I don't know. I mean, I'm not privy, neither is any one of us privy to what happened inside behind closed doors in the Trump Oval Office. But that, that transparency is a big issue for Americans. And I think for me as well, and Trey, I mean, you mentioned this several times. So when somebody comes up and says, okay, I ran on this, I saw the list, there was nothing in it. I mean, you have to be transparent. I mean, if you're not transparent, you're hiding something. And if you're hiding something, you don't get the people's trust. And this is this is what's going on, right? So if you call, I just, from going from what you said, Joe, like if he found something that was non-existent or was not useful or it was in the national security, interest of national security, I mean, these are things that could have been said without having any of the repercussions that he's facing right now. So now he had to look like an idiot because he said there was a list, and he said there was no list, and he said you'll forget the list, and then he's like, okay, release the list. It's confusing. Now, if it's by design, I don't know. I mean, confusion sometimes is made by political design. Okay, so that aside. I mean, that's the problem there. The second thing I think is basically it is not wise to say that everybody loves Trump and nobody is disappointed because the next generation who's coming up to vote in 2026 and 2028, those guys are the important ones, not me, not Trey, not anybody else. I mean, forget that generation. There's a much larger group of people joining the voting pool who are sitting by watching this and watching his reactions and actions in the Israel, the Gaza situation, which is it's going to be a big thing when it comes to 2026 and 28. Taking money from APAC. I mean, those two generations are not going to be as forgiving and as, they will not think this through like we do. I mean, we have seen a lot of stuff. I mean, I came into this country when Reagan was president. I mean, I actually like Reagan. I hated Bush. Even I liked Obama. I mean, I kind of like Clinton. So I kind of like went back and forth with the political scene. And right now, what we're seeing is something that people are going to be mad about, and they will not forget because we had a promise of draining corruption and they're looking at other countries too, like the country where I come from. I mean, the one political party came in and they actually did what they said they were going to do. They cleaned up the corrupt, politicians in the country. It can be done. And I don't know why or what's stopping Trump from doing it and actually making his next, vice president carry on his legacy. So something is not allowing him to do that. Now, is it blackmail? I don't know. I mean, I listen to various people. I don't know what it is. But I think the Israel issue is taking a big part in it because we are seeing more and more happening over there than what was promised over here. Now, that's another thing that my generation, the boomers, are going to notice. So it's going to be a little, I wouldn't say that he's going to have a free ride and everybody's going to like sing kumbaya and vote for him like they did in 2016 and 2024. or 2020 for that matter. I mean, we all know what that election was all about. I mean, the same bloc voted for him. I mean, people are losing.
You don't think Trump's doing anything to fight corruption?
I mean, no. I mean, they started. I mean, when Doge got on board, okay, when he hired Elon Musk, and they started going through, the federal agencies. I mean, I go to these federal agencies. I mean, I was in D.C. a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it's a complete, utter, total waste of time and money.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There. Okay, so I mean, he brought the right guy in. So what happened? Right? I mean, nothing happened. I mean, like then he got rid of Elon Musk. See, I mean, this is the kind of thing that people like me watch for. I mean, my wife works for the federal government. I mean, so I was somewhat concerned, but she fortunately is in an area where they weren't looking to cut places, but they did cut people at the VA because it was like that. Just I know people there, so there are people in the federal government that are just dead weight. I used to work for the county. Okay. So yeah, I mean that kind of stuff could have been carried on. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So we look at that. Good things started happening. I mean, brought in RFK Jr., excellent, choice for that, job. He's doing great, right? But then all of a sudden, the path kind of veered off, and this is where people like me started speaking out, saying like, "Hey, get back on track. There's things to be done here. We don't need unnecessary wars anymore." So one of the biggest mistakes that I think he made was bombing Iran out of the blue for no reason. Iran does not have the capability to build a nuclear weapon, nor do they have
the nuclear facilities.
I mean, they were building the facilities. I mean, that was, they could have been building nuclear facilities for nuclear power.
You don't believe the intel? You don't believe the intel that they were on the verge of nuclear weapons? Well,
no,
but we don't know that.
I mean, this
right?
is the same intel we got from Iraq, Joe, right? So in 2001...
You can't prove that they... You don't know that they didn't, though. We know they're enhancing uranium.
That's a corollary proof. You can't say like, oh, hey, we don't know if they have uranium.
You don't know that they don't.
So
what if they were?
Anyway.
Well, what if? What if they were? It
doesn't matter, though.
Well, what if they were?
But if you really... No, but see...
If they were, it does matter. What if they were... you want them to have nuclear weapons? You're okay with letting them get nuclear weapons?
No.
Then it does matter.
No,
it doesn't matter how close they were then, right?
That's not... No,
if they were on the verge... If they were on the verge of nuclear weapons, would you be okay with them being bombed?
Were on the verge is different than if they can produce one or not. So I'm a nuclear physicist. So let me back up a little bit.
Why do you want to take that chance?
I work at nuclear reactors.
That has nothing to do with whether or not we know they have nuclear weapons.
It does because
no, it doesn't.
I know
because you don't know. You don't know where they're at in the process. You don't know. You know about the process. You don't know where they're at.
People knew. Iran had opened their doors to the UN inspectors.
But no, they hadn't.
They were there already.
They were not cooperating with inspectors.
Absolutely
they were not.
They did. No,
no, that's not. Where's that? Where do you get that information from?
They knew.
Where do you get that information from? Where?
Because
give me a source. Give me a good source.
Knowledge.
Make a good source that says that.
I didn't make that up. I mean, like the intel that the United States government created to go and
tell me when the last time. Tell me when the last time an inspector was there and got good information. I want to see news from an inspector that says they were not close to getting nuclear weapons. Do you have that? I bet you cannot find that.
No, that you can. I mean, they were actually
exactly. So we don't. So you don't know
posting that stuff on. I mean, there was a bunch of stuff on X. That the nuclear inspectors
I want to see an article that says the inspector was down. An inspector was all the way down where they were actually way underground, where they were enriching uranium and on the verge of nuclear weapons, and they're not trying to make nukes. Why do they have it all the way underground? Why do they have it all the way underground if they're not trying to build nukes?
Because that's where you keep nuclear material. Why? I mean, I told you. I mean, I have worked with nuclear material.
Way underground. No.
Every reactor has the material.
They're building it down there because they're hiding it. They're doing it down there because they're hiding it.
You can't keep nuclear material outside, Joe. That doesn't work that way.
You don't have to have it several stories underground.
Feet thick walls, in order to make sure that it doesn't come out, so the radiation doesn't come outside and kill people. So you take. So the problem is.
So you're telling me every nuclear facility. You're telling me every nuclear facility is stories underground. Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely.
Every nuclear
Absolutely.
facility
I've
has
worked
storage
at 3
underground.
of them. There's no nuclear material sitting outside. You cannot. I mean, it's either in a
I say sitting
foot-wide
outside.
thing.
Several
Where would you want
stories
to put it?
underground where it takes a bunker buster bomb to get to it.
Yes. Well, so if
They're
you
doing that because
just
they're high.
walk,
Come on,
okay,
that's
so
common.
take
Come on, Robbie, that's common sense. Now that's
no,
just common
it's not
sense. They're
common
doing it
sense.
because
So
they're hiding it.
let me tell you something. Okay, so you can go to any hospital that treats patients with radiation therapy. Now, this radiation is 6 megawatts. It's
outside.
nowhere near.
It's above ground.
Okay, nowhere near a nuclear bomb fissile material energy. Those walls of the treatment room are 4 feet thick. I built, I oversee the building of the Metro Health Cancer Center vault. That wall is 4 foot thick underground. That's just for a 6 MV X-ray machine. Okay. So you cannot tell me, I mean, like, this is a whole different conversation. We can have this talk for days because, I have the physics of it. I can explain the physics of it later. But if you just go to a hospital and say, like, ask them, like, I want to like, tell me what the thickness of this wall is of this treatment room. And they'll take you to the basement. I mean, go to the VA.
All right. Okay. Well, I just did a quick search. I just did a quick search, and it says while underground construction is feasible for nuclear facilities, it is not common for large scale commercial It is not common for large scale commercial nuclear plants due to the immense cost and engineering challenges. However, some smaller reactor designs are being developed with partially underground components. So a quick search that says what you said is not true.
No, this is
simply not true.
You can actually take a trip down to the Perry nuclear.
It's simply not true that if they're using it for commercial purposes only, they do not need to build it several stories underground. But regardless, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know that they weren't on the verge of nuclear weapons. You don't know that.
If you're telling me I don't know that, how a nuclear material is stored or, bombs are made or where they're made, that's fine. Okay, I mean, we'll set that aside.
You think Trump would bomb them just for the heck of it? You think
no,
why would he bomb them for the heck of it?
Why would he achieve nothing? That's what I want to say. Like that bombing achieved nothing other than spend millions of dollars of taxpayer money because
destroyed their nuclear development.
Let me finish, Joe. They were tipped off because there was satellite imagery of the Iranians removing all the material from those facilities before the American bombs fell. So it was basically a nothing burger just to show.
There's no proof of that. There's no proof of that.
Sure there was. I mean, I don't know, Trey, if you remember this, but there were.
There's simply not. There's simply not proof of that. There's not. You want to believe that. You want to believe that. It's simply not true.
Yeah, because everybody.
There's no evidence to back it up.
It was still
absolutely no evidence to back that up.
There was plenty of evidence to back up the fact that Iran did not have the capability to create.
Do you know that Iran's the largest state sponsor of terror in the world?
The largest state sponsor of terror in the world is us, if you ask me.
No, we don't do terror. We don't do terror. Iran is the largest state sponsor of terror in the world.
We just fund it. We send money to terror.
We don't fund. We don't fund it. We do not fund it.
Oh, well, come on, no, that's
we don't.
No, you know better than that, Joe. There's money that was sent to Al Qaeda. We've sent money to Hamas. We've sent money to. We have money involved in pretty much every.
We sent money to them so they can do terror.
Of course.
We sent humanitarian funds. You've been all over Facebook saying,
"Oh gosh,
send humanitarian funds to Palestine." To what? Hamas. It's humanitarian funds. So now you're saying you don't want that? You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways.
You can
That's not funding terror when it's humanitarian aid.
If you can provide one place where I've said send money to Palestine, go ahead. Please, because it's never come out of my mouth. I've never posted about it. I've never said anything about.
You've been posting a lot about how we need to help Palestine. You don't want aid to Palestine? You don't want us to send aid to Palestine?
We want aid. I mean, we have said time and time again that we need to stop the genocide and help the people in Palestine. We did not mention Hamas at all.
Part of that's in the money, right? I'm just saying, I'm just saying you can't say when money was sent for humanitarian purposes that was funding terror. That's disingenuous. You can't say that.
No, we send
It's
money
not
to
true. It's simply not
Israel.
true.
I mean,
When you say we're
Bibi
funding terror,
Netanyahu, Bibi Netanyahu came to New
Iran
York and
funds
said,
Hamas, Iran funds Hezbollah. They are the largest state sponsor of terror. It's a simple fact.
We are not saying Iran doesn't fund terror or terrorists, right? I mean, we fund the same. I mean, funding comes from various sources, but that's not. I wanted to tell you. I want to read something to you because
I mean,
I did a
Obama
quick
did
search
release
here too.
like $1 billion when he was president, so I guess he kind of sort of did fund. I mean,
the U.S. has sponsored, a lot of terrorists around
it's
the
not
world.
funding them because we want them to do terror.
I mean,
Well,
I'll condone
like okay, in
anything.
1979, like I'll go back as far as that because that's so far long ago that I was like starting to watch, read, and learn about the U.S. Actions in Asia and Middle East. I mean, we actually funded and created the Northern Mujahideen to fight the Russians of when they invaded Afghanistan, who later became the Taliban. So, like, we cannot say that we have not funded terrorists. We have. We do it all over the world, actually. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the Iran issue. So, according to the AI source here, I'm going to read what it says here. Iran has not developed a nuclear weapon. Has not developed nuclear weapons, as U.S. intelligence assessments indicate that it has halted its nuclear weapons program in 2003 and has not resumed it. Okay, so while there are concerns about the nuclear capabilities, Iran maintains its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes only. So that's only generating power. So we had no credible intelligence to go in there and do what we did.
Where's that information
Okay.
from? What's the source of that information?
I'll send it to you because I just did a chat GPT search on Iran's nuclear capabilities. So obviously we knew
I
that.
do want to point this out real quick. I don't care, and I think I can speak for Ravi as well on this. I don't care where it comes from. Terrorism is wrong. Terrorism is the use of violence to an intimidation against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. I don't care where that comes from, whether it's Iran. I've openly condemned Hamas. I've publicly condemned Hamas for any terrorist act. I've condemned October 7th terrorist act, but what I will not support is the killing of civilians in response to terrorism and thinking that somehow makes you better. The Gaza Strip, the Palestinians have the highest population of amputee children in the world now. The amount of innocent civilian life that has been killed there is tens of thousands of children. There's no excuse for it. You have the main humanitarian organization out of Israel that came out and said it was a genocide. The UN came out and said it was a genocide. So when I say we're funding this stuff, I mean just since Trump's been in office, we've sent $7.8 billion over to Israel. Trump is on camera openly being like, "Oh, BB, you asked for a bomb, I sent you the bomb. I didn't even know what it was. I just sent it to you. I got it to you, didn't I?" Like, it's so like we're talking about the deaths of innocent people. Like, it just doesn't matter because they're from a different region of the world, so it's not as big of a deal. Israel's our closest ally, so it just makes it okay that we're going to kill innocent people. Like, and I hear excuses. Well,
you
the
think that
Palestinians
Israel,
are.
you think Israel's targeting civilians and children? You think
Absolutely.
you have evidence? Do you have evidence?
Yes,
that they've
IDF
targeted,
soldiers
that they've
have gone on record.
purposefully
IDF soldiers
targeted,
have gone on record.
That this was their war plan. This was the plan. Let's go kill civilians and children.
I mean, there was videos. We showed videos on this show of Israel dropping bombs on a hospital, sending a bomb into a hospital, waiting for people to go in to help the people in the civilians and rescue workers to go in, and then they bomb them too. I mean, there's videos of this all over the place. It's
we
not
have played
a
them on the
hidden
show.
thing.
Yeah, I saw that. That's one instance, and the
there's been
context.
multiple.
The context
Oh
isn't
my
really
gosh.
clear. But the
Look at
reality is,
look at the picture. Look at the picture.
the reality
You're
is,
telling me that the terrorists were in virtually every single building in that Gaza Strip to where there's not a building left standing there. So you're
Do you have
telling
a
me
video
every
that we
single
can play?
place where homes.
they may have been. Do you know they? I don't know. But do you know that they weren't? We do know they are terrorists, right? So there's a couple things. Okay, one, they're terrorists, so they're often look like civilians, right? They look like civilians, and they also have child combatants.
3-year-olds,
Some children are
5-year-olds,
some
3-year-olds,
children are
6-year-olds.
combatants.
Are
six-year-olds.
you
I don't
telling
know.
me that there are 3, 5, and
Definitely 12.
6-year-olds?
Definitely teenagers. Definitely 12 and older.
These are not what we're talking about. Right?
They also do hide. They also do hide in hospitals. They do hide in schools. They do hide behind children and civilians. They do put their weapons there. We know that, right? They hide there. So it's a very difficult thing. I believe Israel takes extreme measures to try to avoid civilian casualties as much as they can.
Is one of those measures to let them know, hey, we're going to bomb here. Situation. If you're innocent, get out of there. Is that one of the measures you're referring to? Because I would think in an advanced civilized society, just like when we have, let's say, bank robbers here, we don't blow up the bank because there's innocent people in there. No, there's ways to go. I would think if you have Israel has one of the most elite special forces units in the world. I just don't see how. Well, they have children where the guns are, and that just, since there's guns there, it's unfortunate that there's children there, but we got to bomb them in anyway. That's just so disgusting.
I don't think that's their attitude. I don't think it's correct to suggest
if
that's
there
their attitude.
Is children
I do not
in
believe that's
a building.
Their attitude.
If there are children in a building and a bomb drops on it, that's that Gaza Strip is so small. There's no way there wasn't surveillance on what's going on and who's in there. If there's a hospital and there's children in there, and there's children in there, and you still drop a bomb anyway because there's guns in the basement, you've lost a piece of your humanity. What are they supposed? You don't have it.
If Hamas is hiding behind the children, what are they supposed to do? Not fight?
Joe, what are they supposed to do? What was one of the things? What was the thing? One of the things we did when we went in, there was a certain standard. We didn't go carpet bomb cities in Iraq or Afghanistan. U.S. troops went in building by building and cleared people out and then kept the innocent people alive. So there wasn't even a resemblance of that in this conflict. It was, we're carpet bombing them, get them out, and
I don't think they did carpet bomb. I don't think they did carpet. I don't think they did.
There was a video. Play the video.
It was targeted. They did targeted bomb. They were targeted.
Let's watch this. They didn't just. You can see.
They did not just willy nilly bomb. They did not just willy nilly bomb.
Joe. I don't know what news you're watching,
but you know when there was willy nilly bombing, every country in World War II did do indiscriminate
World War
bombing.
II was in 50, 60 years ago. I mean, humanity has come forward technology-wise
because we're better. Because
right?
the humanity hasn't done anything. We got better weapons. We have precise weapons now, so we're able to avoid.
Better technology,
but we still can't always avoid the. We still can't always avoid the casualties. There's always going to be civilian casualties in war.
Yeah, there is no avoidance of civilian casualties. So there was a ex-Marine who actually went on camera to say that there were people who were sniping kids who were coming in to collect aid and leaving, going back home, because they were going close enough to a combat zone.
I heard that, and that's not exactly. I listened to that. I know you're talking about. That's not exactly.
Well, I saw the video too. So
that's not exactly what he said.
There is no. That is what he said, but
they weren't sniping. They were firing bullets.
Well, I don't know what you call that. Then I mean, it was somebody's.
The context is important, Ravi.
Kid.
The context is important. You can't just say they were sniping. So when you say sniping, you make it sound like, let me go try to shoot some kids. That's not what they were doing.
Well, they were doing that.
something that was probably stupid. They were doing something that was probably stupid, but what they were doing was shooting at the ground to try to keep them in a certain location.
That's a war crime. That's a war crime.
It's not a war crime. It's not a war crime.
No, that is a war crime.
They were not shooting at them.
You have a very well decorated Green Beret come out, and
if somebody was
there,
it was an accident. It was an accident. No, I listened to the guy. I listened to the guy. And
no, but that's not the only person, Joe. I mean, I think you probably should, if you have time, go back and watch some of the shows we did on this topic, because there were UN doctors who went over there, and they went on camera and they were on record as saying that these children that they saw at hospitals that came in for treatment, they were like they were target practices. I mean, one day they were all losing, they had head wounds. The other day they had big holes in their chest. I mean,
saying things like target practice, that's propaganda. That's not true.
I don't know what you want to call it, but they were shooting them of genocide. At kids. These were not kids who were shot in a combat zone. They were shooting at kids in civilian areas. They were.
Yes.
And they were celebrating it. I mean, there are videos of IDF soldiers who have said that.
I've not seen that. I'm not saying.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I mean, so I'm sure you haven't seen it.
If that happened, like you said.
Well, let's forget shit to you. Assume that it just happened. What is your thought on that?
Those soldiers, if that happened, as you said, those soldiers were wrong. Those soldiers, if they did what you said, may have committed a war crime. They should be prosecuted. But not the entire.
But you think they will?
But not Bibi Netanyahu, not Israel, unless this was part of their plan. But if this actually happened and there's evidence of it, they should be prosecuted. Same way we would. Same way we did. Same way we have.
The problem is there was
it's being covered up.
It's like being covered up. So have you heard the story of Rajab?
Well, if you have
6-year-old girl.
What's that?
Did you ever hear the story or watch anything about Hind Rajab, the 6-year-old girl that was murdered by the IDF? I mean, she was trapped in a car. They were fleeing. I mean, just the gist of the story, they were fleeing the war zone, and their car got, their tank came by and just shot everybody in the car. And then the little kid was the only one left, and she was actually calling for help with her cousin, I guess. And then they heard the calls and went back the next day, and they just obliterated the car. I mean, there's satellite video taking and they claim the tank was never in that region, but there's satellite video that was taken from, overhead satellites that show that there was tank activity and firing in that region. So nothing happened to anybody. And this is 2 years ago. I mean, this has been brought up over and over in the media, independent media.
I mean, do we know that this happened? I'm sure.
Of course.
I mean, do you know?
Of
I mean,
course.
do you know who's been or has not been charged with the crime?
There's a documentary. I mean, so the government claimed they didn't know who did it.
I don't know. I don't know, but I would imagine if all this stuff happened.
So maybe we should send.
Somebody's being charged. Somebody is being charged with the crime.
Nobody. Nothing happened.
Do we?
And
do we know that?
So the people who went in to do the reporters who went in to do the investigation actually found out the name of the soldiers who were in that tank, and there are people on record and video of the Israel government saying that they have no idea who did it. So you can see that they're obviously lying. I mean, Piers Morgan had that guy on his show, and he looked like a total idiot when he just, and this is the same guy who actually got caught saying, he was asked how many civilians were killed, and there was a Hamas guy too on the show. I think it was Hamas or like whoever that was on the other side, Palestinian, and they claimed that there were 65,000 people who were killed, civilians. Okay. And the IDF guy claimed that there was only 30,000. They got 30,000 Hamas terrorists. And then he was asked how many civilians, and he said we killed about 2 civilians per terrorist. So, I mean, algebra, my 9-year-old could do it. I mean, they added up the numbers and said, well, you're claiming that 90,000 people died. This guy here in Palestine claims 65,000 people died. So,
Well,
what's going on here? So
how
they don't even know how many
when you're
people they've
talking about
killed,
number of civilian,
right?
we can't trust it. We can't trust those
I mean,
numbers,
who
especially
can you?
when
I
it's
mean, you're
somebody's.
you're talking to an IDF
It's an
soldier.
anecdotal story. A guy telling you that's an anecdotal story.
It's
So
not anecdotal. I mean,
but
this
listen,
is an army
when your
guy.
enemy's terrorist, when your enemy is not an actual army, they're all civilians. How do we
So
differentiate?
you're saying the IDF
How
is a
do you
civilian? I mean,
differentiate? How do you different? They can claim they're all civilians. They can claim they're all civilians because
no,
nobody
but the
signed up for
IDF
the army.
knows.
Because they're not an
The
army, they're
IDF
terrorists.
knows who's a civilian, who's a terrorist. I mean, this is
No, they
one of
don't.
the most elite
No,
forces
they do
in the
not.
world.
How would you say that?
Yes,
How
of
can you
course
say
they
that?
do.
They know who's
The
shooting at them.
Mossad is one of the most elite, forces. I mean, like organizations there.
They got the
They can
name they
find
got the name
intel,
of so they got the name
right?
of every single person who is a terrorist or not a terrorist in Palestine.
So
they're not that
okay.
good. They're not that good.
Well,
They know who the civilians are where they
well,
live.
then they're either good or they're absolute morons. Because
Morons, yeah.
I mean, we
I'd
had
go
it
with
we
the
had it
latter.
a few weeks ago. We had a contractor for the Department of State who had to remain anonymous with the information that he shared, talking about how he was part of the security team that was tasked with helping get Americans out of the Middle East and American citizens out of Gaza and that area, and had firsthand accounts of the IDF shooting at American citizens during designated safe times and crossing points where it was supposed to be safe for American citizens to get out of there. And they were on the phone with these people, hey, help me, the IDF, they are shooting at me, what do I do? Like, this stuff is, I mean, there's court cases out on this as well of these happening, but this is our closest ally. So, you know, it's crazy. It comes across like, oh, they're this elite, this and that. So maybe they are a bunch of monkeys humping a football. I mean, they're shooting at American citizens, for God's sakes, over
They've
there
killed
trying to
American
get out
citizens
during
and got away with it, right? I mean,
So
they've done
yeah,
that.
I mean, it's just so maybe the only method that they had to wipe out terrorists in the Gaza Strip was to drop the equivalent of 20 atomic bombs like we did on Japan, which it's just
Hey,
the math isn't mathing with
the
it.
reality is that war's awful, and the reality is that situation they were not going to avoid civilian casualties. The only way to avoid them to any acceptable level to some people would be to not go to war.
Joe, can I ask you a question?
I mean,
this is a genuine question, right? I want to ask you a question. I mean, so my understanding of where you're coming from is that you don't think that Israel is ethnically cleansing. There's no genocide. Nobody's getting killed. They're killing terrorists. And, okay, so the civilians who are dying are casualties of war. That's your take, right? So, which is fine. I mean, everybody's entitled to the opinion if it's right or wrong. That's no big deal. Why do you think Bibi Netanyahu is not going for a two-state solution? Why is it that he does not want a Palestinian state? Do you think he's ever going to have a Palestinian state? And if not, don't you think that what is going on is ethnic cleansing so they can expand? I mean, Trump has already said, a couple of times he will not let Netanyahu expand into Israel into the Palestinian region or the West Bank, but it's already happening. So what do you think? What's your thought on that?
I don't think most people favor a Palestinian state, including the Palestinians, including Hamas. They don't want it.
So why are they fighting for it then?
They've had opportunities. They had offers on the table years ago to create a state. They don't want it. Because you know why? They want to ethnically cleanse Israel and the Jews.
So you think
they want to make Israel a parking lot? They're fighting people. What they're being accused of by you guys and a lot of other people is what they're actually defending against.
Well, how many Israelis? How many Israeli children has died? So the hostages there was 251 hostages taken. on October 7th. And latest conservative numbers from the UN, conservative, is that there have been over 20,000 children killed in Gaza. And I don't care which side of the fence you're on. I don't care where you're at. There is no way you can tell me that there is a guilty child. There's no way you can tell me there is a guilty child. Children
It's
don't know
awful,
what they're...
but that's I mean, them being guilty has nothing to do with what happened.
I don't.
The blood is on the hands of Hamas. We need to put proper
blame. The blood is on the people who pulled the trigger.
No,
yeah.
Like, I'm sorry,
no.
you don't. If there's somebody at a gas station in front of you, Joe, and it's a robber holding a child in front of them, and you pull the trigger and it hits that child in the head, the blood of that child is on your hands, not the person holding the child. That's how reality works.
If that's
just the reality of it.
Let me throw this philosophical, ethical question at you. If doing that's the only way to stop him from killing 20 other children,
still won't happen. It's still
so you wouldn't shoot the child to shoot the guy who's about to kill 20 other children.
So
that's the kind of logic we should be using. That's the kind of ethical calculation we should be using with what's going on in Israel.
Why is it only that logic for Israel?
We need to put the proper blame here. The instigator of this war, is Hamas. The atrocity they did to Israel.
This is all what
that's so alarming.
When they slaughtered all these civilian children, babies, raped.
That was not. That was a lie.
That's the instigator.
But even if that's the case, we're going to say
So why do you guys not? Why do we don't want to talk about that? Why is it all you want to talk about is Israel?
No, the first thing I said when we talked about this was I condemned October 7th, and
you made one statement. You made one statement of that, and then it's all Israel. Why do we not have an equal? When we talk about terrorists, Ravi says, I don't think Iran's doing nuclear weapons. I don't think they're stored in the ground because they're doing nuclear weapons. It's just for energy, I guess, right? So no, you guys are making excuses. You guys are making excuses for terrorists, and you're condemning the good guys.
Iran
condemning the good guys, retaliating against the bad guys.
I hear excuses
you guys got
for
evil and good mixed up. You got evil and good mixed up. You got right and wrong backwards.
20,000 children. I hear a lot of excuses for 20,000 children dead, and I don't see that on the other side at all.
It's not enough.
And the purpose of America.
So should they only kill what? So they could kill the number of children that the terrorists killed?
I will stand.
They actually targeted
on the fact
children.
That evil
targeted children.
For evil is never the answer, and America claims
it's self-defense.
To be better than that.
It's self-defense.
No. Self-defense.
No. How's it not self-defense? How's it not self-defense?
Children aren't killed. These little children aren't the ones attacking them.
So you're acting like they just went out to go kill children.
They do.
It's not what they were going. It's what they did.
So let me tell you this.
It doesn't matter.
Let me ask you this.
Hitler had the best intentions in his mind. He had the best intentions, but people still died.
Let me ask you this question. Why aren't we asking? Why didn't Hamas just surrender? Why did they force Israel to go to war? Why don't they just surrender to avoid the casualties? Why
surrender
do they keep fighting?
And do what?
Why aren't we putting blame on them?
You sound that sounds like somebody in an abusive relationship. Why do you make me hit you?
No.
Why do you make me punch you?
No.
Don't make me do this to you. Like,
no, not at all.
Why are you making me kill your children? Don't make me blow up your hospitals and kill your children. Like,
why
I know it's not a joke, but you're defending it.
Responsibility on Hamas. You could at any time.
So you seriously think that if Hamas. So, I mean, there is enough evidence to know that Israel is paying Hamas too, because having them there is actually helpful to them in some instances.
We talked about it earlier. That's called humanitarian aid, which supposedly you want.
It's not humanitarian,
that was
but
humanitarian aid.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that if
they're paying them to attack them? They're paying Hamas to attack them. That's what you think. That's what you just said.
There makes Israel achieve their goal. Israel's goal is greater Israel.
So what's their goal? The goal of what?
Right? The goal is to expand the borders of Israel. Why are you laughing? I mean, this is what they're doing right now in Lebanon. So they've basically
They've
got
talked about
us,
it.
the
They
United
openly talk
States,
So
about
to
tell
it.
me this.
destabilize
So
all
tell
the
me this. What
countries
was
around
Israel
them.
prior to the talk, prior to the attack? What was Israel doing to push its borders?
Killing Palestinians and occupying West Bank. Where have
They
you
were not
been?
killing.
They've been doing
They weren't
Yes,
killing
they
Palestinians
were.
before the attack. What?
Of
What are you talking
course
about?
they were.
absolutely.
You're saying Israel was
They've done
geez.
stuff over there for
No,
like
that's not
October
true.
over
7th was
20
just a
years.
Where
catalyst
do you
to the
guys get
new
this
war.
information? Where are you getting this? Is not true. Where are you getting this information?
Where have you been to not know this?
Where?
I mean, it's
Show me.
ridiculous.
Give me a
They've been.
source. Give me a source of this information. I've never heard this.
All right,
Honestly,
you're
I've
going to
never heard
get
this. What are you
plenty of
talking about?
sources from
Okay.
us for sure, because we want you to actually seriously understand what's
Well,
going on. Because, I think you're a smart guy who should know what's really going on. I mean, to tell someone that Israel was doing nothing before October 7th, it's like.
What were they doing? Well, no, sir, I think you
they
guys
were
are
still killing Palestinians and occupying their land.
For no reason.
What? Huh?
They were
For
killing
what
people.
reason?
They were killing people for no reason. You're saying?
No, I told you. We already talked about the reason. Their reason is expansion, ethnically cleanse Palestine, so they can expand their reach all into the West Bank and Gaza.
Okay,
that's a crazy. You know what that is? That's a crazy conspiracy theory. Is what that is? Backed by no evidence.
It's not a crazy conspiracy theory.
Joe, drop this, and I know you got your computer. Just drop this in your Google search. If Israel had attacked Gaza before October 7th, there have been 7 bombings or invadings of the Gaza Strip between 2007 and October 7th, 2023. 7 different times before this. So it's not hard to look this up.
I mean, they've been doing this since 1947.
Operation Cast led in between 2008 2009. Operation Protective Edge in 2014, and an 11-day war.
Give me that first operation name.
Operation Cast Lead.
Cast, C-A-S-T.
L-E-A-D.
L-E-A-D.
Yep. 2008 2009. So
we need to understand proper context too. I mean, you guys just say they attacked. You make it sound like they were just.
We said there's been conflict there. You said there was nothing done. Israel hadn't done anything prior to October 7th. You said they hadn't done anything.
Well, that's no. That's not what I said. That's not what I was saying. Of course, there's been conflict.
Oh, okay.
They've had war. They've been warring for a long time. Ever since Israel was created. And you want to know the real reason that Israel keeps expanding? Because other people keep attacking them. Then every time Israel wins the war, they take more land. You know how much land they would have if other people weren't attacking them? They'd have a lot less. They weren't seeking to expand.
So
they took more land.
So now that they're getting attacked, they can get more land. That's a great tactic.
Well,
that's almost what Ravi was talking about.
That happens in war.
I know.
That happens in war. That's a normal thing. So you guys understand you understand the history of Israel, right? When it was created in 48, they were immediately attacked by, it was like 3 countries.
Oh, Egypt. They were attacked. Oh, wow. I didn't know that history. The Nakba was them attacking Palestine, not vice versa.
I didn't know that history of Israel either. That's new.
You don't? You guys, I'd like you guys also to know information.
You'll have to send me the.
If you want to properly understand Israel, you need to know the history, which really goes back. I mean, it goes way back. It's a big subject in the Bible for one. But
I think you're kind of.
The nation of Israel was created after World War II in 1948, after the Holocaust, after the Jews. There was a real genocide against the Jews. And it was created as a place for the Jews to live.
Hold on a minute here. So I think you're just confusing the biblical Jews with the Zionists. There's a little difference there. But anyway, I guess we're out of time.
That's a whole different discussion. But
well, we might have to continue discussion. We do hour-long episodes, and we're at an hour and 3 minutes already. So. I mean, if we want to do a part 2 at some point, we should definitely continue. I mean, it looks like we got stuff to look up, and we can reconvene if that's what that's what we want to do. But
I mean,
I
most
mean,
of the stuff we've covered, right? I mean, in our
I
past
mean, yeah,
episodes,
we've
yeah,
we've 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 covered
with videos,
a
evidence, a lot
lot
of
of this
facts.
stuff and videos and stuff on a lot of this stuff, but I will say it's very I like having differences of opinion on the show. I like having conversations about this stuff. That's why, for the listeners who don't know, us three have been going back and forth on social media for the better part of 2-3 months on this topic. So finally, was just like, let's just bring him on the show and we could talk about this stuff here. So,
We're gonna have to go back
Joe,
and look at stuff.
I do appreciate you coming on, and if we can have you on again and continue this conversation, we'd love to do that as well.
Good to finally
All
meet
right,
you,
yeah,
Joe.
thanks for having me on. Yeah, sure, let's do it again.
All right. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in. We will catch you on the next episode.
Yeah.
All right, see you guys.